Hey guys, welcome to Finally Clicked, the podcast where we discuss business, leadership, and personal development. My name is Margaret Schmitt, and I'm the Director of Operations for Pickett Street Properties, a real estate team out of Bothell, Washington. And I'll be here every week with our owner and team leader, Jesse D. Moore. We'll be digging into concepts and ideas that have helped us both personally and professionally. And you'll also get a chance to hear from local and national experts that we know provide massive value to get to the point where it all finally clicks.
Hello and welcome to a special ASMR and Whiskey episode featuring Jagels. Oh my goodness. Featuring Margaret Schmitt and Jesse Moore of Pickett Street Properties, a real estate team in Bothell, Washington. Also today, we have a special guest. If I don't kick her out before the episode starts. And her name is Jagels. Jagels. You know, it's funny because I never call you Christina.
Nobody does, unless I'm in trouble.
Do people, oh, good Lord, what's wrong?
I think I have allergies.
I call her Christina when she's in trouble with me sometimes.
Christina. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Jagels is a good name.
I also am trying to
Rhymes with
transition
bagels.
to CK.
Calvin Klein. I like bagels. I might change your name to Bagels.
Bagels? How about Boggles?
I always wanted, ever since I've been a Jagels, I wanted to open a bagel store that was called Jagels Jizzy Bagels.
I can really.
Why did we have her on
That
today?
would be amazing.
I'm regretting this decision.
It was your choice, your number one choice. I was all about it, but you were like, let's bring on the Jagels.
Well, I thought Jagels would be interesting considering her love of Gary John Bishop and last week's episode in particular. Also, she's a good fan of the show, of the podcast, and she's seen it, and she's trying to drink whiskey with us. And she's making odd faces.
Oh my God!
Well, and like you've referenced, I do give a shout out to Jagels almost once an episode.
I know, and so I think this is an episode about context.
Ooh.
Where we explain,
Refreshing.
There's a living human being who has a name.
It's not just someone Margaret
It's
made
not
up.
someone just Margaret.
No.
It's not Margaret's made up friend.
Which would be totally fine because I absolutely believe in made up friends.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
That stresses me out a little bit. I'm having anxiety.
I feel like restarting already.
No, we're on a great roll.
This is great.
Mm-hmm. You know, and in the ASMR and Whiskey episodes, we cover a lot of different topics. So I say we just launch into Mr. Bishop, or Sir Bishop, as Jagels calls him, and see what she thought about that episode and the time that she spent in the room in the corner listening to him, watching his blue eyes.
I was secretly down there, wasn't I?
Mm-hmm.
It was good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just a really profound moment for me, I guess. Because I'm pretty set in my ways. Even though I'm always growing and trying to learn and be better and all those great things.
It's exhausting, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm just set in my ways now. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to do what I want to do, how I want to do it. And I don't really care the wake, really. But he really opened my eyes for a minute where it was like, holy crap. Like, I'm really in charge of this.
Yeah.
Like, if I don't want to feel this way, I have to make the actions to create the not feeling that way.
Mm-hmm.
So crazy.
You've seen a lot of it, or you listened to a lot of his other stuff, I know, because you knew way more about him than I did, or anybody did. Yeah. What was different about what he talked about versus what you'd heard before? Or was there not much different, just maybe you heard something different?
Are you going to reference something from like the 10th page of his Facebook profile? Like you deep dive?
I'm not that crazy.
His LinkedIn?
Plus, the retention of my memory is not that strong. So I think this time he was emotional in that podcast, where a lot of the other interviews he focuses more so on outside things, not really him. And so it just made me really think that, you know, he's an actual human. He actually feels this way. He actually had things happen to him that created this this response that he has.
Yeah, I don't know if we talked about this after the episode or not, but I thought it was so... I think it says a lot about him that he does have a storied past, but he doesn't use it to sell books.
Yes.
You know, like
Totally.
he didn't want to talk about it.
No.
He tried to avoid it and step over it a few times. And then finally, you know, he got into it. And when he did, it was powerful and it was unexpected. And I think that's where the power of that episode came from, though. Is like when he says he forgave his mom and he forgave his dad.
Yeah. That was ridiculous.
And the impact it had.
I think everybody who's listened so far has either texted me or commented or shared it on social media and said that they were crying, like right alongside us, as he talked about that.
Well, I made an instantaneous change.
Yeah.
No, like, oh, really?
Like the minute I walked out of this building, I went directly to my phone and I text my father. I mean, that's not somebody I talk to much. I pretty much wrote him off. And not for any particular reason aside from him just not being really good at showing up. And then Gary John Bishop kind of just opened my eyes in the sense that I don't know his history. I don't know anything about that guy. I don't know how he became the way he is today or why I don't appear to be like a conscientious like thought. Like and so I stopped and just texted him and I was like, if I wanna control this feeling of suffering, I have to initiate a new relationship. Because it's never gonna come from the other end.
I think it's interesting that we seem to protect ourselves. We protect our time and we protect our emotions like they're money. You know, like, I feel like, and I feel like he strips that away. I feel like and I won't speak for everyone else, but I definitely, one of the things I run up against in my own life and my personality is, I wouldn't say keeping score. Like, I don't keep score to put people in their place, but I do keep score for myself to make sure that I'm doing enough to like contribute to the relationship and to measure up. And then when someone challenges me on that, I'm ready to go. Like, I'm like, here it is. Here's the scorecard. And for him to be like, you know, we joked about it this morning, where the interview really turned for me was when I asked him that question about, we don't live in a vacuum. There's people around us. They have an impact on us. Like, how much do we consider that? And he's like, that's up to you. That's your choice, isn't it? And I was like, oh, okay. And then that really contextualized everything for me. Everything I do is a choice, including who I interact with and how I interact with them. And if I'm bent out of shape before talking to them, or if I go in there loaded for bear, or if I go in there ready to give them a hug, that's my choice. It has nothing to do with them. I didn't like that message that much.
I was kind of wondering.
Oh, man. So I identify with Jagels that I am pretty set in my ways. I am who I am. I consider myself an extreme personality. I'm not milquetoast. I know I can be a lot. I know it's challenging for people. And it's not that easy for me to change. And it's not that I'm impossible to change. I have changed. I'm also exhausted from changing to the point where I'm unsure of what shape and form I should take. You know, like, I want to be authentic, but it's not like I have a set of blueprints to work off of. And who I was at 34 is not who I am at 42, and it's not who I'm going to be at 50. So the idea that I have to, like, be the construction team and the architect and the demolition team in this creation that I call myself is, there's times I just want to wave the white flag and say, you know what, enough self-awareness. enough good intention, enough trying.
It's exhausting, yeah.
Like, at what point do people just accept me for the way that I am?
That was when he mentioned that, he said that line of, he was talking about judging other people. And then when we get judged and we're like, you don't accept me for me, oh my God.
Yeah.
It's like, so I was thinking of, as you were talking, that whole concept that you're just explaining right there. Oh, thank you. I got a text from one of the admin in the area, and she said, dude, I relate so much with Jesse and having to figure out his whole life and who he is as an adult. Would love to chat with him about this stuff sometime. I've been in a very similar place and have to actively fight off the shame of not being sure of these things yet. And I've realized I've had to survive so much that I didn't have a chance to dream. I don't know what I want. I don't have big life goals. So my focus this year is on figuring those out so I can start to make them happen. So kind of like you, like she's just becoming herself in her 30s now. Like, it's a huge challenge. Because, yeah, you weren't allowed to do that. I mean, even when I first met you, you were 33, whatever that was. Yeah. That was just the beginning.
Yeah, and so I think even in that moment when I asked him that question and he answered that way, and I kind of said like a defeated yeah. I was like, yeah. And he's like, no, it's not yeah.
Yeah.
And I said it that way because I was like, it's not the answer I wanted.
Yeah.
You know, like this is going to require more effort. And at the same time, it's totally freeing in that I don't have to wait for other people. I can just decide how I'm going to be and who I'm going to be. And I guess that part, I think, to me, can be freeing. That the idea that I can be civil and I can be gracious to people that are contrary to me. It's still really hard to swallow. I don't know.
Why do you think it's hard?
I think it's hard because I think I said a lot that book that he wrote is very self-reliant. Like the whole book is about assuming responsibility and enacting change on your own. And I feel like I had to do that on my own already. And it was a lonely experience, and I'm not rushing back to it anytime soon. I guess I was hoping that I've, been through that season of my life, and now I can start to, I can have a partner to depend on, and friendships to depend on, and relationships to depend on. But maybe life isn't that way. And the way he did it, the thing that's so artful about Gary John Bishop is he does it in a way that empowers you. Like, Jagels left the building and called her dad. Like, that's an empowering thing to do. It's not defeatist, how I can sometimes feel.
Yeah.
So, his gift is, I think he's gonna be a big deal soon.
Yeah. Maybe his gift is freeing the victims. You're no longer allowed to be a victim. He's kind of like, you're not a victim. So if someone has victimized you, has done something wrong, I don't think he's saying run to that person necessarily and spend all of your time with them. But he's saying you have the power to run your life, to be in charge, to love, to choose love, to choose kindness. It doesn't depend on anyone else but you.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I've run into a lot. And you run not just in real estate, but in all over the world. Like a lot of people who just are just kind of like, my life sucks because of this and that, and this person, my family. Right. It's always someone else's fault.
And then my attention goes out the window.
Yeah.
Because I'm already recognizing that person is victim speak, and they're not going to take responsibility, so they're not going to enact change. So why are we having this conversation?
Yeah. Well, because like you said, it's a lot more work to do it the other way. It's a lot more work every day to choose to be kind to people who aren't kind to you. Absolutely. Not easy. That's why many people don't do it.
Yeah, but as I get older, the more I realize the people that respond emotionally, it's just a sign of immaturity.
I was just going to talk about response. I think that's, honestly, as powerful as a response is, and it creates a conversation, I feel like we focus too heavily on it when we should just be quiet. And so I found that in my recent 30s, that my response would to just be to shun you, remove you, if it wasn't working for me. And when Gary said, you know, society is teaching us to be self-righteous in that exact occasion, and that impacted me in a way where I was like, I guess that's kind of accurate. The response is such a negative response by removing, and then you're left with the suffering. I know how I feel without him, and I know how I feel with him. Even if it's my control, I feel a hell of a lot better with him than I do without him. So why do I continuously go this without him way? When I can just control it and be okay and fine, and like Gary said, accept them the way they are, and accept what it is, and just be okay with it, and just love. So I'm going to go with that for a minute, see where it takes me.
Well, let's dig into that. So something Elizabeth Grace Marty from Reno, Nevada said, she wanted to ask Jesse if he would dig into a little bit more about Gary's talk about boundaries and the lack thereof, essentially. And because she's struggling with that, and I know a lot of people do. And I mean, that's one of the first conversations you and I had, Jagels, about that after that podcast was because there's not, you know, I mean, it's like he says there's, I forget what his line was, but I mean, when you say there's a boundary, and if you say there's no boundaries, you're already putting yourself behind the line. But there's certain people that we don't want to have around us all the time.
I think it's situational too. Like, at this point in time, after what I'm trying to encourage myself to do, my boundaries are black and white. If you've done something for me, like you screwed up, there's like no coming back usually with me. And I see that it's situational per person. It can change. So with one person in particular that I have removed, I have no intention of bringing back into my life. They bring me no benefit at all, and I frankly don't care that they're not there or there. But with another person, I do care if they're not there or there. So for me, a boundary is going to be put on someone who brings me nothing. That's easily removable for me. Whereas if somebody actually matters to me, whether they're there or not there, I'm going to actually consider the boundary and what it actually is.
Yeah, I mean, it was hard to process during the interview with him because I didn't expect that answer, like I said. And so, you know, it was interesting when I mentioned the three-part series that we did, ending with boundaries, and then, you know, he had such a different response. And I just think for everything there's a time, for everything there is a season. And I know I've been open when I've talked to other people about the boundaries that I have, that those boundaries are very much because I lack the tools to be open to that person. And so if I don't have the tools to be open and to be mindful and gracious and kind, then I have to eliminate myself from them for a time until I am able to be that way. I can think of a number of relationships that I could jumpstart because I have the tools now. I could go back to that and ask for forgiveness and ask for grace and change expectations, modify expectations. But there was a time when I couldn't do that, and now I can. So I think boundaries are, you know, they're an arrow in my quiver, and I pull them out when I need to. And I think after listening to Gary John Bishop, I think I'll be more open to not using that or not relying too much on them. Because I think that'll facilitate growth in me. And I'm not looking forward to it. So. What about you, Margaret? What do you think? How does that change boundaries for you?
I'm not sure yet. I think that's what I'm still processing, because for me, there have been no boundaries for all of my life until the last 2 years. And so that's why I go back to referencing the doormat comment that he made about me. And I've had many people reach out to me since then. Like they said, like David Breckheimer said, I Googled doormat Margaret and I couldn't come up with an image for you. But I've had zero boundaries. I've always operated from love, which is what my mom taught me. So even if people wronged me or somebody did something, my first thought in my head was, well, something must have happened in their life to make them treat me that way. That was how she raised me, was to always think there's something in their story that you don't know about that has made them react or respond this way. It's not actually you. So when you grow up with that, like his whole story about how he all of a sudden thought, what was it like for his mom to raise 4 kids with an alcoholic husband? I've been thinking that way since I was little, which is a huge blessing, I realize, because not many people are taught that. So that's why I'm really struggling, because I feel like for the first time I'm standing up for myself by putting a boundary in place. And I need to stand up for myself more. So I think that's what I'm struggling with right now, is with those boundaries that I've put in place, I did them to protect myself, because I was actually hurting myself, because when you struggle with stress and things like that, you start to react physically, right? And like I've told you guys before, I had stomach pain. That was actually from other people. So I don't know where I am on it yet. I think I'm going to figure it out. And maybe Gary will explain more this coming weekend. But
Well, I don't think it's one size fits all. Like,
no, yeah. That'd be a really unique pair of pants.
I think it's so interesting to find out what a factor genetics is. Like they find a gene every day. They find a gene that contributes to something. Like I'm trying to think of a good example. But literally, like there's a gene that makes me impatient, right? And so because I have that and I was made that way, like my life is going to be different than somebody who doesn't have that gene. Mm-hmm. And so you can't give us the same rule book
same
and
solution.
Expect the same result.
Yeah. So
I think there's a proliferation of ideas and thoughts, and you like that word? Mm-hmm. You narrowed your eyes.
I like it.
Because there's so many thoughts and ideas, and we take on what resonates with us.
Yeah.
And I think it resonated with a lot of people what he said, and it made people stop and think. So I don't think it's a common message. Mm-hmm. And I love that. Mm-hmm. I love new thoughts. I love looking at ways in a different way. Mm-hmm. And I love challenging status quo and what I think is normal.
Mm-hmm. I have this issue with portraying strength, and not just muscle strength. Like, I want to mind strong you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm tougher than all of you. And what he shared literally created, like, a whole nother level of mind strong for me. I was like, OMG. Like, if I can master this, oh, man. I thought it was tough before when I could just, like,
you're a little
deuces you.
Literally.
But now, like,
so,
for reals.
If I were to break it down like you broke down Margaret, does that mean then that your image of toughness is really because you feel weak, and so you're proving to yourself that you're tough?
I mean, you really want me to say that on here?
Yeah.
In front of all these people? Yeah, no, really, that's what it is. You know? You have to have this image. Mm-hmm. Mine's always been, I'm going to be stronger than all these people.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're also a smaller person. And
I'm very large. Can't you tell how big I am? I'm the biggest.
Jagels is not a large person. She's, how tall are you?
5'1".
Right.
5'1". But you know, when you operate like that, you're exactly right. It's very empowering because, and ultimately, and maybe that's what's helped me be as happy as I am, is like literally anybody, I've told people before, and I think I've told you this before, you literally will never do anything to drive me away. You'd have to kill one of my family members.
Yes, I know this. How did I know that?
But it's very freeing. It's like the most control you can possibly have. Nobody gets to touch this heart. Like, nobody gets to mess with this.
Oh.
I'm going to love on you no matter what. Damn it. That's good.
Which goes back to the doormat.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, do you remember what you told
You
me
can
Friday
learn.
night?
I don't know. Where was I? Okay.
We went out for a drink Friday night after the afternoon. And Jagels made a comment about me just having to accept that I'm the doormat
Yeah,
at some point, accepting it.
you're just that. We look to you for these things, and you provide. And whether it gives you a stomachache or not, like, we're going to have to buy you some Pepto. Like, I just feel like you just have to deal with this because it's who you are.
Yeah.
And you can create boundaries, and that's okay, out of self-respect.
Yeah.
And we're still going to come to you.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're not going to kill your family, so you're not going to get rid of us.
Yeah, or like another girl said, maybe you're not a doormat, maybe it's more like an open door idea. I think they're just trying to take away the doormat. Metaphor.
Yeah.
Either way, it got me thinking. Jesse.
I think we should sit next. This stuff tastes like garbage.
It tastes amazing. And
Let me try one more time.
thankfully, it's in the morning. Sorry, we almost recorded this in the morning, in which case I wasn't going to be able to make it happen today. I wasn't going to do whiskey in the morning today. But
I would have totally done
it's
it.
the afternoon.
What do you
so I
usually
feel
mix it with?
This is socially
Nothing.
You just drink it
Ice.
over ice?
This
Yeah.
is on ice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because as the ice melts, it gets a little bit.
It opens up.
Not many
Yeah,
people
so
know
that
this, but I have a rainmaker again, and he drinks this stuff. He likes the smoked kind.
Straight whiskey. Yeah.
And I can't do that either. That was terrible.
Sound like you said you have a ring maker.
I have a ring maker?
Rainmaker.
There's one ring to
You better
rule
make me a
them all.
ring.
Yeah, what do they say about people who, God, I can't remember it. They herd cats. We heard rainmakers.
As long as they make me a ring, I don't care.
Well, I think we're going to continue to hear about Gary for much longer after this because people are just passing it along.
Yeah, I get to jump, like
Jump in.
frontal pelvic jump onto him hug.
Front
That's
pelvic.
what a front
That is
pelvic
a
hug
very
jump.
specific type
A
of
jump
hug.
pelvic hug.
I want to know, are you going to jump him? Just run straight up to him?
If he doesn't bring bodyguards, yeah,
Yeah, he's not.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I might. Can you ask who's his assistant?
Tim?
Tim. Ask Tim if he has any back problems, hip problems, knee problems. Do I need to know about any body problems?
Okay.
Okay,
I'll ask him.
because I don't want to hurt. I don't want to hurt him.
Maybe.
Can you imagine being like a well-respected author and speaker, and you go to Clay Ellen, Washington, and this black-haired, like
Well, he already saw her, so
Tasmanian
he knows
devil,
what to look for.
all tatted up and nailed out. Your nails are like sharpened to a point.
Are you going to wear a kilt? I told
I
somebody you might
should.
wear a kilt.
Could you imagine?
I don't
it?
think kilt is the appropriate
I think we
costume
can-
for a front pelvic hug.
Okay, that might be taking it to a whole nother level.
You know, I don't think he'd be opposed to it from you. He could probably handle you much more than he can handle me.
his real sweet, very gorgeous-looking wife might.
Well, yeah, you're not taking her place for
No,
sure, but
yeah.
you
I
can
have to
front
respect
pelvic
all the people.
yeah.
Whatever, he's getting a freaking huge front pelvic hug.
Hopefully Augustina gets that shot. I'll tell her about it.
Hopefully
beforehand.
we don't
Yeah.
hug him after this
I
class.
think if you prearrange this, it might be criminal.
I should probably have her sign a waiver or something.
You should have him sign a waiver.
Yeah, so he doesn't take me
And
to jail.
you should list front pelvic hugs in the waiver.
I thought you guys were my friends.
You know what doesn't sound appropriate in front of hug? Pelvic.
I like a good pelvic thrusting hug. It's a sign of respect, Jesse.
Christina, it's so nice to have you here for your one and only appearance on Finally Clicked.
Okay, bye.
What about Tyler?
Tyler.
Gary Vaynerchuk's assistant.
Yeah, my mom listened to his podcast, of course, when it came out, and she, same as you, like she didn't know. She knows a little bit about Gary Vaynerchuk, but she was like Tyler's going to have some good things to say, and she actually made him a button. She made a button in honor of Tyler.
Tyler, I made you a button. Would you like a button?
It says, well, she made a couple BU buttons. She made 3 kinds of buttons, BU, something else. And then the Tyler one is be open to opportunity.
That's a big button.
I know, right? It's a lot of words for the button. But yeah, she loved his podcast. He had great insight, things to say, and she loves that he's bringing his sister. I don't know if I should make that public, but he's bringing his sister.
Logistically, how are you going to get these buttons to Tyler? You're just going to hand them off?
Oh, I have a little gifty for each speaker that comes.
Gifty?
I like to call it a gifty. That's what the whiskey told me to call it. So I'll probably put the buttons in their box and give it to them.
In their buttocks? What? You need to speak a little bit more clearly.
In their box.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I have a box for a T-shirt with them, for them, and I'll put the buttons in there. Mm-hmm.
I think it's super ironic that you have shirts that say "Live Your Truth," and we talked to Gary John Bishop about your quote truth, quote unquote
your
truth,
reality.
And how he just basically called anyone who said that an asshole. Mm-hmm. He's just basically.
So I'm gonna give him a shirt that says "You're an asshole," basically.
Yeah.
I think he'll appreciate it.
Just
yeah.
Stick me in the box.
There we go. Jagels in a box. That'd be a good YouTube video. Yeah, no, I think it's going to be a super... There's a mix of fear and adrenaline that's coming up for this week. Between Gary John Bishop, Tyler, and Enmay, people don't know what the heck to think.
Should we talk about Enmay?
Sure.
Wow. We're turning on a gravel road for a second, everybody. I don't know what we're going to say.
Is it in Montana?
Talk about. I just want to ask everyone to chill out. That's what I want to say. I want everyone to just relax a little bit. And I would say that I'm thankful for our listeners because I think by large, they are chill people. I think they're open. I think they're curious. I think they can listen to something before they determine anything of consequence. But we've had some pushback on Enmay being on the podcast and being at your retreat coming up. And I just want to say that if you're pushing back and you haven't had a chance to talk to her or meet her or figure out what she's about, then you don't need to go to the retreat and you don't need to listen to our podcast anymore. So I give you permission to bounce. I understand you don't have to listen. That's the beauty of this podcast. You don't have to listen to everyone. If you don't like it, turn it off. Hopefully it's compelling every once in a while and you return back to it. But quite honestly, it is of no consequence to me if you decide to get upset and enact some sort of spiritual warfare on us because your grandma told you how the world worked. So I'm really upset with anyone that would determine what's of value and what's not of value without having a conversation.
Well, and I love to give some people some context, and I'm not going to talk about the people that have pushed back, and in my class that I taught recently, I talked openly because I've heard some people don't want to listen to our podcast because they don't love either you or I. They have some sort of
You've heard this?
I've heard this.
Wait, this is new information.
So
no, wait, stop.
No, I'm going into it. I'm
okay.
going into it. And I said in class, now keep in mind that every person that you learn from, you're not going to love or like. It doesn't mean you can't learn something from someone that you don't like. So I said, it's really interesting to me that I'm offering up free information. Jesse's offering up free information in the podcast or his class. And you're choosing not to come because you don't like someone. What a loss. And so I said that in my class, and I'm going to say it from now on every time because there's plenty of people that I've gone to hear speak or listen to at a conference or a class or at a church or anywhere who I don't love or like. But it doesn't mean I don't hear them and I don't learn something from it. That's always my goal. So I say that because what I love about this is this conversation that it's starting right here on this podcast with our conversations we've had at lunch yesterday, because it really helps me understand how they think, how those people that are in judgment think, so that maybe I can approach them differently next time. Because I have not met anyone like Enmay who has such a heart and I mean, she even said in the podcast that from a very young age, she was basically shunned from her neighborhood because she was the crazy weird kid that.
Well, and she grew up going to church. She went to.
Yeah.
Like, she went to a church.
Her dad took her to 8 different churches, he said, until they found one that she liked.
They found one that not only that she liked, but then also, like, accepted.
So that right there is what one of my friends said is key to this whole conversation, is because Enmei doesn't see herself as God. Enmei is like believes in a higher power. So for those that have a maybe more of a fundamental Christian upbringing and have an issue with Enmei, I think it's good for you to know that Enmei does not believe she is God. She believes in a higher power, and as she said in our podcast, she does things for the highest and best good of all. So I just love the conversation that we're having because of this.
I want to go back to people not listening because they don't like us.
Sure.
Who doesn't like us?
Oh my God.
Not who specifically, but like what type of people?
I want a name.
Are these people that know us for
Yes.
real?
No, don't know us. There's so many people that don't know us.
That's what I mean. Are these people that don't know us and they assume
Yes.
based on something?
Based
Yes.
on something, yes.
Like, I have a reputation for being a bit of a curmudgeon.
Yeah, we've talked about that. Yeah.
And I just talked to Jill about this last night.
Mm-hmm.
And what people don't understand, you know this, and you're one of the few people that knows this,
Mhm.
but I'm in constant pain.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like to talk about it because
Mhm.
I am doing my best to overcome it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's exhausting,
Mhm.
and at the end of the day, or even in the middle of the day, I don't have, like, I went to one of my best friend's birthday parties this weekend, and it was a event where we threw hatchets, axes, right? And I wasn't in love with the idea because I have a bad back,
Probably would hurt.
right?
Yeah.
So let's pick up a heavy object and throw it, and then go pry it out of the wall, and then repeat, I don't know,
Sounds
20, 30 times.
Joyful.
And so normally I would be happy to do it. And I'm there for my friend anyway, and I'm
Yeah.
happy to be there.
Yeah.
I was happy to be there.
Yeah.
But I was in pain, and so it looked like I hated life.
Yeah.
So to everyone that sees me and thinks that it looks like I just smelled a fart or something, just realize that I'm just, there's people that are just in pain, and you
Yeah.
don't know what they're dealing with.
Yeah.
I'm a friendly person. I promise.
You are friendly.
But I'm doing the best I can.
Well, and I think it's just people that are still developing awareness and, and may never get it, may never have it. But if you walk through this planet thinking the girl on the street you just saw on the street must hate you, and you've never even met her, there's a problem there, because you're going to feel hated by a lot of people for your whole life.
Well, and this has been said a number of times before me, but I included this in my speech, and humans act in fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
And they choose that as their response, as their rapid response, when we're not being goddamn chased by lions anymore. Like, Jesse's not a megalodon, like,
Ooh. I don't even know that.
no one knows anything, and if they don't know, they're scared, and so they act in that manner, and it just...
Yeah.
And in almost every situation where there's conflict or anger, it's a misunderstanding. Like, almost every time. And I can look at it, almost every misunderstanding I've had in my life, and had I not reacted emotionally and just sought the other person's perspective, it probably would have worked itself out. And vice versa, if they had done the same. So I think it is interesting to me that people are so willing to just make a snap judgment.
And it's unfortunate. It's too
determine
bad.
What's of value, what's not.
Because the conversation we had with Gary that they're never going to hear, maybe they'll hear after this, maybe if they listen to this or someone tells them to listen to it, the conversation with Enmei, like all the people that we're trying to bring forward, that we are bringing forward to bring value to listeners, whoever they are, they're going to miss out on that. And that's super sad to me, because they're not going to get very far in life, period.
I'm going to make a challenge. I think it's specific to this industry to some degree. I don't think in like hamburger sales they have the same amount of judgment in what works and what doesn't work. I just feel like in real estate there's such strong personalities. It's rife with egos.
Yeah.
It's rife with narcissists. It's rife with people that... I was thinking about this, actually. I was thinking about a few of my friends that are, like, very close friends of mine. And they're similar, like, earning potential, similar jobs, similar personalities. And one thing that the one thing that I heard about all these people that kind of struck a chord with me, because I heard it said about me too, is I always get my way. And these people always get their way. And I would challenge that to say they don't always get their way, but on the things that matter, they get their way. And it's because they're unrelenting. And, and
they might be louder about it. So I was talking, because it reminds me of, I was talking to a guy 2 days ago who might be on the podcast in the future. And I was telling him, I was like, look, people look at me and they're like, wow, Margaret got sponsorship for this retreat. I could never get the sponsors that she got. And I got 5 sponsors, yes. Did I ask 5 people? No. I asked 45 people to get the 5. And so I think sometimes agents and people that are in positions where they have to talk more and are more social and more, they're just louder about it. That's all. There's a lot of quiet people that are relentless, for sure, too. So I don't know that I would agree with you that it's just this industry. I think, I do believe that in the nonprofit industry, I was surrounded by a lot more givers and less takers. But there are still some takers, for sure. I think real estate might just be a highly concentrated.
That's my point, though.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we own everything. I'm saying that the people, to be in real estate, and I say this all the time, I say it to clients, and I say to be in real estate, you have to have a certain amount of ego.
Yeah.
Sorry. To be an entrepreneur, to be a self-employed person, you have to have a certain amount of ego.
Sure. Yeah.
It takes a whole nother level of arrogance to be a real estate agent. Why? Because who are you selling? Yourself.
Yourself, yeah.
So you have to look good. You have to drive the car.
Yeah.
You have to say the right things. You have to do the lunches and the happy hours.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
You have to be highly social. And you have to be highly engaged. And you have to be on all the time.
Yeah.
And I think those people, I also think they have to have something to say. And so in an absence of something to say, they resort to judgment. In an absence of knowledge, they resort to judgment. And I think it's just easier for the personalities that most real estate agents have for them to do that.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Versus like a scientist isn't going to do that.
No,
right?
You're right. Yeah. No,
An
they're going to think
engineer's
through
not
it.
going to do that.
They're going to think through it more. Yeah. Well, I was thinking about the retreat this weekend, thinking one of the things that is so awesome about it is you have 32 women, first of all, open to men and women, but it's 32 women, and they're all admin. So number one, I like it to be extremely organized and professional because I am an admin and I believe in showing that, I treat them the same way as I would my team or anybody else. Second of all, I have 32 of the most helpful people this weekend. So it's if they're always, everybody has said at some point, Margaret, do you need me to bring anything? I have different people. Jagels has helped me in many different ways. I have other people bringing Keurigs, people they're just, so while yes, it's a lot of work and there's a lot to do, it's also for 32 of the kindest and most giving people to be around for the weekend. So
well, I'm not lumping admin in with real
oh,
estate
I know. No, I just think it's interesting to see the difference. Not to say that there aren't admin that are similar. There's a lot of different personalities in that role. So.
I loved going back to Tyler, what I loved about Tyler was when he talked about being in the business of hospitality and how serving your executive was an act of hospitality.
Yeah.
That clarified so much about that role for me.
Yeah.
I just never heard it explained that way.
No, I agree. I liked that too. I still get these, I don't know. I'm going to have to dig into this more. I get really fired up and get I have some, I don't know what they're called when sharks have fins. They have
When they have
I get
fins.
really fired up. Wait, just wait. Hold
Say
on,
it
hold
again,
on.
say it again.
Hold on. I got to just wait. We got to
What
break this down.
comes-
We got to break this down. Stop talking. Everyone, we have a moment here. This is how Margaret speaks. There's time. I tell people
Let me
about
get a
this.
picture.
I tell
I just
people
get a
about this
picture.
often, and they don't understand me. But I just want to go back to what Margaret just said. Can you please repeat what you just said? The first part. I remember the shark fin coming right behind, but it had nothing to do with the first part.
The first part was I get really fired up.
When you think about shark fins.
When I think about sharks.
I'm imagining in my head these. I know there's a movie where there's sharks and then things come out weapons or something. I don't know what the saying is, but you know what the saying is when you're
Are you watching SpongeBob High? What's happening
I
here?
don't watch anything at home. I want to say tendrils. I know that's not
Tendrils?
that's not the right word.
I can't wait for this.
God.
I'm gonna sit tight.
I loved what Tyler said about that, the hospitality piece, about saying like that from the admin point of view in the industry, we're only victims if we make ourselves a victim of our job, of our position, of whatever. If we're a doormat and we choose to be, treated like a doormat. However, and I still see some major discrepancies between how people are treated in our role versus other roles. And so that's why
Hashtag shark fin.
Yes. And
so that's why
tendrils?
whenever that topic comes up, I'm like, God, yeah, no, absolutely. Like we are absolutely hospitality and on the team, on the real estate team in the real estate industry. We are the ones that, are kind to the clients. We're the ones that are serving, that we're providing service. And it's still not okay for me. Like there's parts of it, I guess that's a bigger topic. When he said that and I knew you were on
It bothers you.
It bothers me.
That I liked it so much.
It bothers me. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Not because I don't agree, but it's because it goes to a bigger topic. Because you know how sometimes I stream together ideas and I stream together concepts? I'm doing that, which is why I'm trying to compartmentalize. It's not connected, but it bugs me.
So these shark fins are in Tupperware? Is that what you're trying to say?
If they're in something, they're probably in Ziploc baggies.
I'm not going to let this go.
Because
I'm fired up. And what does shark fins have to do with
is there an
being fired
animal
up?
that has like nails that come out of its skin?
You mean like
porcupine?
Wolverine?
Yes, like a Wolverine.
Like
porcupine, maybe?
No, I mean like Wolverine,
X-Men
the character
is
from
not real.
X-Men.
Yeah. That's what I'm imagining.
Like a cat? You mean like
yes,
a cat?
Yes, they come out
Oh
like
my
that.
gosh.
Shark fin.
Shark fin
Tendrils.
or cat claws.
Got it. Okay.
So yeah, I'm a cat with a cloak.
Oh, so you're trying to say
And I
you got
have-
fired up and your claws came out.
Yes, thank you.
But you said shark fin.
It took about 20 minutes to get there, but that's where my visualization
Always gonna be outside this store from here on out.
I'm glad we got there together.
That's not even the whiskey, folks.
No, that's just real life.
Just
Real life.
Margaret.
Well, and I thank you guys for allowing me to speak my own language because it's how we get to the real good stuff. Normally, like before these years, I wouldn't have even attempted it because I would know what would try to come out, and it would be that.
Right. I know that you have how awesome that you have the freedom to say random stuff
I know.
on a recorded
podcast,
platform.
let alone my real life every day. I'm gonna take a sip of whiskey for that.
So it bothers you that that admin are tied to hospitality?
No. This is where I'm saying I need to do a better job of compartmentalizing. I agree with that concept completely.
And what are you upset about?
And
That
it's a gateway to a much bigger topic that I'm assuming some things on. So I can't assume anything. I can't assume because the other topic here that I'm interested to talk about with Tyler is the fact that he is a man. And it's different to be a man in the position than it is a woman.
What's it like to have a...
Say it. Don't hold it back.
Oh my God, no! Just be real with me here. It's very different to be a woman in this position as an admin. It really is. You get treated differently. You get looked at differently. And so partly, I think why people, admin in particular, that are female, that are attracted to being around me, it's because I recognize that, and it's happened to me, and I've seen it. And I'm curious to know if Tyler has anywhere. I know he's had some experiences where people are like, "Oh, you're the assistant," and he's like, "Hey, yeah, I'm the assistant to Gary Vaynerchuk." I totally get that. And that's how I am with you. Obviously, like, people know I'm not just an assistant. And why is that even a phrase anymore? Like, I'm like a partner with you in the business, and that adds a different level of respect. But back in the beginning, the first couple years, you're looked down on. You are not given any information. If you don't dress a certain way, you're treated. So this is where my social work part comes in, and that's why my claws come out. So like, it just was the cusp of the beginning of a bigger topic that I would like to discuss.
It seems like to me Margaret is treating assistant like the R word. Like she's trying to, like, she hates the word.
Like the C word.
Like anything that starts with a letter you're not supposed to say word.
Yeah.
So, like, do you have the same
No.
perspective that assistant means less than or
I
lower
don't.
than?
I've
or...
changed my mindset on that so long ago that I don't hear it that
Oh,
way
it's a
anymore.
choice is what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's a personal choice
Yeah.
about
My
how you
business
receive
cards,
the word and how you
This
think
new
of it.
this new team that I'm on, my business cards say CEO.
And titles don't matter, right?
I mean, they do to me. I know they do to you. It's just the way it is.
I'm just trying to make the point that
It's a decision.
isn't this more
Yes.
a decision of that it
Sure,
bothers you?
and that does not deny the fact how other people perceive it.
Oh, that's
So just because I make a decision to not act like an assistant, I don't act like an assistant. I never have,
Oh.
right? That has always been my decision, yes. And it doesn't take away from what I experience in everyday life when I go out to conferences, classes. You know, it's changed because I've made that reputation for myself. But if people don't feel empowered to do that, and you just live in that little shell, I mean, yes, that's a decision, and it's a societal, it's an issue.
I don't think it's focused on that anymore, though. I think we've grown a lot.
Well, I think we have.
Yeah.
But I mean, in our bubble here in the Pacific Northwest,
I think that's elitist to say.
I don't think so.
You think the rest of the country?
No, I'm not saying like just the Pacific Northwest. I'm saying in my little, so if Margaret's bubble,
Yeah.
my little bubble, there's still a huge lack of awareness. There are so many admin in different industries that are treated poorly.
Because they choose to allow it.
And
Actually, here's what I think it is from my perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you look at real estate agents and if you apply the Pareto principle to them, that means 20% of them are doing 80% of the business. That means 20% of all real estate agents are doing it right to the best degree, which also means they are the ones that have assistants and they probably treat those assistants better than other people, other than the 80%, I would hope. So how I treat you and how rainmakers treat their assistants, I think that has all the importance in the world. And I think that what that means is that you have 80% of agents hiring what's left. I think you have 80% of agents wanting to control their expenses. So they're only shopping in that $15 to $19 an hour shopping bin.
yeah.
And they're not looking for anything above that. And at that supermarket where they sell $15 to $19 an hour admin, you get meeker souls. You get people that aren't going to stand up for themselves and fight for more to the same degree that you would with the 20 percenters. Like, you haven't been in that range for a long time. So, and that isn't a fundamental cause of the industry or anything other than once I understood your worth, like your value to me expanded, as did your compensation. I think that you have a lot of administrative assistants who are hired because they were someone's coach told them they needed an assistant, but they haven't resolved for themselves in their own mind what that position's going to be and how that position's going to impact their business and how to compensate that person fairly.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think that you're going to hear from those people a lot.
It's convoluted.
Just a different way to think about it. My way of thinking about it.
Yeah. Oh, I just believe, I guess, and maybe that's where I'm stuck in that mix then, because I believe in that person that's in the $15 to $19 range and what's possible there. And so those are the people I want to stand up for.
Yeah, but, I mean, can you?
Yes.
Shouldn't they have to stand up for themselves?
Yeah, they do ultimately, but I can absolutely spark something to help them begin,
Okay, that's
which will
different then.
ultimately change the industry.
Well, that's why we're doing this together, I think. I don't think it can happen with just the admin. I think you have to
No, it's
change
got to be
the-
both sides for sure. And that other side's going to be really freaking hard for sure. I know that.
Jagels, she's getting fired up. Her shark fins are going to come out.
I see it.
They already are out.
The tendrils.
They're out
The
far.
tendrils.
I still
If they
want to know
had,
about
if they
tendrils.
were visual, they'd be on the other side of the table right now.
I want to
This
see
is, I
tendrils.
get really jacked up about this.
Cheers.
Well, because essentially too, this is the social worker in me.
Me too. God. Ugh.
Isn't it watered down enough?
I hate it. Thank you for having me.
Tastes like caramel.
Does it?
Yeah.
No, okay. I'll just work on that. Tastes like caramel.
So
Ugh.
speaking of which, you have a rainmaker now.
I do. I'm kind of
What's that
doing
like?
both. I'm doing both, you know. I'm paring back on Closer Pros a bit. Got
For
myself
everyone,
a rainmaker.
For context, Closer Pros is Jagels' independent transaction coordination service business
Yeah.
And she's saying that you're paring down. What'd you say?
Paring down.
Paring down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Little bit
A
little bit of that, little bit of that. So I've struggled my entire career in real estate, going back and forth between an entrepreneur and
So you're repeating the cycle.
a servicer. Yeah.
A servicer.
A servicer. Yeah.
Why is that?
You know what? I'm not sure. I haven't figured it out yet.
Is it a title thing? Is it a word thing?
No, you know what? I think this just is obviously is transitional. My life is changing dramatically in the last 6 months, and so I think I'm just looking for peace right now, stability. I don't know what it is yet, but I'm just going to go with it. See how it rocks my world.
I think peace is a good thing to seek out. I'm a fan of peace.
Yeah. Well, and as you know, being an entrepreneur and owning your own business, I haven't found any peace there yet.
Oh, I know, man.
And I'm probably capable of doing that. I mean, like, you know, over time. But right now with my current personal status, like I can't right now. I'm not doing very well at it, I should say.
Yeah, I think, well, it's an ebb and a flow. And right now, you need peace.
Yeah.
So you move in that direction.
Yep.
Every once in a while, I need chaos, and I move in that
Oh,
direction.
God.
I think that's coming.
I just need tendrils.
Tendrils?
I just need tendrils. That's all I need.
Tendril girl. Doesn't have the...
She's drinking it
Ring.
real good right now.
I know.
don't know what have we done.
She's going to be whiskey girl.
It's delicious.
I think that's funny. I know your brain. My brain's similar in that way where there's so many things happening at one given moment that just something falls out. I screw up like slogans all the time where, you know, like I was just talking to girls about this. I was like, oh, that's just how the cookie falls on the floor and crumbles into a million pieces. Yep. They're like, nope, that's not how that goes. Oh, shoot.
Were you born in Russia?
I think so.
Mother Russia.
Mother Russia.
Good job taking that fork apart.
I did, and I made you a picture with it.
Oh,
It's a flower.
that's perfect.
So for everyone listening at home, your retreat's coming up, Margaret.
It is.
How you feeling?
Excellent.
Fired up with shark fins.
Tendrils of all sorts.
Yeah?
Yeah. No, at this point, I'm just sitting on my hands, literally, so I don't do anything else.
I'm freaking jacked to do yoga for the first time in my life.
You've never,
You've
done,
never
yoga?
done yoga?
And I'm not jacked about it. I was just kidding. No, I've never done it.
Wow.
Could you imagine?
You must
My
be
little
so
body.
tight.
Yes. I need a good stretch.
Okay, other than yoga, what are you looking forward to the most, Margaret?
Oh, the most probably making people uncomfortable.
You're good at that. You do love that.
I do.
Man alive. Are you doing the
Yeah.
eye thing again?
I can't tell anybody what I'm doing about anything.
You can't say?
No.
You can't tell me?
No.
one's listening.
No, because someone will listen, and you know.
Oh.
No, I like to mix it up. No, but I think because it's been.
So I just want to know so I can talk about it if you're not going to do it.
Not gonna do it.
All right. So Margaret had people at the last 2 admin retreats.
No, just the last one.
Oh, just the last one?
Yeah.
She had every attendee pair off and then stare into the left eye
Yes.
of their partner for 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
Total.
10 minutes is a lifetime.
An hour.
5 without
And they
holding
couldn't
hands,
say
5 with
anything.
holding hands.
5 without holding hands, and then you had to hold hands.
Yeah.
Try me. Yeah, no.
And, well, I mean, that's how uncomfortable was everybody
Extremely uncomfortable.
the whole time?
Probably more at the very beginning, it seemed like, because that's when they were the most giggly and like making noise and dancing around. And but you know, the people that pay money to come to this event, I know they all have an intention of being very purposeful and experiencing whatever it is we're going to experience. So for the most part, they listened when I was like, hey guys, quiet down, no talking, just look. So it was uncomfortable, and it's uncomfortable, I think, because number one, we don't look into anybody's eyes very often. And so it's a weird thing to do.
Well, we don't look into them and do nothing. Hey, can I look into your eye for 10 minutes?
Very hard.
Can we
and
not?
just your left eye.
Can we just not say anything?
I
Yeah.
think that I struggled heavily with that because
was your
I
left
am
eye partner?
such a logical person,
Yeah.
Lauren Hyatt.
Oh, Laura Hyatt, yeah.
So, oh my
You're such
God.
a logical person.
I'm so logical, so I'm like, I don't see the point to this. I do not compute. I don't want to see into your soul because I don't know what that means. Like, I was like, I don't, and so I couldn't do it. Like, I don't know. It was a struggle for me. That was really rough. Probably more so for me than it, because everybody was like, I saw into your soul and I could feel your happiness and your uncomfortableness. And I was like, I see your eyeball. And all I see is your eyeball. And
And you started the conference off this way.
yes.
Like,
Yeah,
that
they
had
didn't.
to make
They didn't get
people-
to enter into the
That
lodge.
had to make them really uncomfortable.
Very uncomfortable.
Like,
It was great.
This is the start of it, guys.
Well, and that was just
so
the
great. I'm
beginning.
going to drink all
And
this.
we do
with
a
Yeah.
bunch of other activities that make everybody really uncomfortable. But
For our next exercise, Margaret's going to ask Tyler what it's like to be a man.
crap.
And for our next exercise, we're going to try to guess what Margaret's saying.
that would be a great game, actually.
I'm fired up because of shark fin tendrils.
Yes.
In my head, it sounded perfectly
I
clear.
think she means that she's hungry and when she gets angry
Oh
for
my
her
God.
sushi.
You're ridiculous. But do you know, have you had anybody come up to you and say that they're anxious about the retreat? Any of the admin or anybody?
Admin, don't talk to me. You're so funny. I like, have you had anyone come up to you and talk to you about the... I'm like, are you kidding me?
Jagels talks to you. Andy talks to you.
No, it's like there's a automated conveyor belt in front of my door that shoots them past and right into your office. It's like, and it's about 1.5 times the speed of normal. And so they like zoom right by my office, afraid that if I'm like Medusa and if they catch my glance, they're going to
Stone.
turn to stone.
Oh my God.
Stone.
Makes
Not
my
me.
face hurt. I laugh so
I
hard.
do want to share everyone the new addition we put in your office.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
What do we get?
Got a clock.
It's not a clock.
A timer.
We got a timer.
That thing stresses me
Do you know why we got a
out.
timer?
Yes,
Stresses
I'm
her out.
fully aware. I literally, every time somebody walks in, I move it forward 5 minutes. I'm like, you just ruined everything for us. Get out.
So we put a timer in the admin office, Command Central, so that we could time how much outside parties, how much of an
Outside
influence
parties.
outside parties had on your time overall. Because you are much beloved and everyone wants to come
Yep.
and like
Doormat
touch
on
the
her
robe.
doormat.
I know. She's the holiest doormat ever. Can I touch the robe?
Can we get her a doormat at the door?
Can I kiss the ring? Is Margaret here? It's like I am Margaret's gatekeeper. They're like, where'd Margaret go? I'm
Yeah.
like, she's
I know.
urinating. Will she be back soon? Well, it's been a while, so give it a minute.
You whipped out that Scottish accent again or something.
No, I can't do it on
That's
command.
Like some weird ass
No.
witch from Lord of
Exactly.
the Rings or
There
something.
you go.
I don't know who that was.
Yeah. But
Sure.
no,
I can't do it now. See, you can't say it. You can't say it.
the idea of the timer is great. And if we've whipped
Do
out
I
a
have
couple
any
times.
admin? Did you have any admin come talk to you about the admin retreat and how they're feeling? Have you had any admin come talk to you about how they're feeling? Have they come and talked to you about their feelings, Jesse? Oh my God.
Oh, I thought maybe a couple of them might have. I was going to say they're just very anxious and fearful, which is perfect. It's just how I like them.
Hi, I hope everybody's happy to be here. I hope you're all anxious and fearful. You're not? Wait, you're not? All right, let's do this exercise where you
Wow.
stare into someone's eye for 10 minutes. Now, are you anxious and fearful? You are? Good. Let's continue.
Oh, my God.
Damn it, admin.
That was hilarious.
You're gonna ruin everything for us.
I mean, of course,
I'm going to switch it up. Let's stare into your right eye.
the left eye is the eye to the soul, they say. So the people that responded to that activity have left eye soulmates, like Sarah Trosky calls Lene Thornton out of Spokane her left eye soulmate. So different people respond to different things. So,
I put it in my past.
and I like to make Jagels uncomfortable because it's pretty hard to get her uncomfortable.
I don't believe that to be true.
I'm tough. I'm the toughest of the
No,
tough.
that's what I mean. Because you try to be tough means you actually don't think you're tough. And so you try to be tough therefore betraying the fact that you're not tough in your mind.
Little GJB action for you.
I understand, Jagels. You look in the mirror and you see a little girl who's unprotected.
Oh, shit.
All right, I'm gonna stop.
Oh my God. So yes, so let me just go back to that though and say, yes, my goal is to make them very uncomfortable because I've realized that every day I'm uncomfortable and so many people don't like to be, but so much growth comes from that's part of my secret sauce. So when people come to me, Margaret, how do you do this? Margaret, how do you do this? And I said, hey, it made me really uncomfortable the first 20 times I did it, like teaching, but you just keep doing it. So yes, I make them uncomfortable. And keep in mind, I also create a really safe place and space. So yes, they're uncomfortable, but they're also surrounded by 32 other people that are also uncomfortable and a really nice lodge with good food, people that are going to be kind. We're not there to harass each other or make fun of each other or anything. So, but yeah, my goal is always to start with discomfort because that's where the growth will happen. And we have a very short amount of time. And when you have 3 days, really it's Friday, Saturday, and just part of Thursday, part of Sunday morning. So you have that little bit of a time to create an experience where change can happen. You have to go to some extreme lengths. And Thursday night is the only night that I have where we don't have anything else planned besides dinner. So that and then Friday evening. So you have a very short amount of time to make a ripple for someone. And that's my goal. I should just start calling it the uncomfortable retreat. Something like that.
I think that's probably a marketing fail.
Shark fins and tendrils.
Shark fins.
Retreat. This stuff is disgusting. And thank you so much for sharing with me. It tastes like caramel. Hold on. Yep, caramel.
It looks like your glass. According to your glass, it looks like we just started the podcast.
Oh, we did.
According to Margaret and I's glass.
We do.
We're veterans at this,
We are.
so we're almost done because it's almost the end of the episode.
True. Is that how we know when it's over?
No.
When the whiskey's gone?
I mean, sometimes.
What else? Give me more. Make this worth it. Come on.
Make it worth it.
Yeah. What else we got? Diet Coke.
Anything else you want to talk about today that we haven't brought up already?
Nope, we've touched plenty on all the things. Yeah.
So when you look into the mirror, how old are you?
Oh my God, I kind of want to know though.
I really,
Jagels, how old are you?
35.
When you look into the mirror, how old are you?
Is she supposed to give a different answer?
Yeah, he thinks
don't
I see a little
understand.
girl, but
I think
don't-
she
I
sees
don't.
a scared little girl.
Well, it's funny that you say that. That's what Enmei said about me.
We'll ask Enmei.
We'll ask Enmei.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
promise she's just going to tell you something completely different.
Or unexpected. You never know.
It's true.
You never know what anyone's going to say, to be fair.
That is accurate.
And truer words have never been spoken about Margaret. You never know what Margaret's going to say.
You don't.
Shark fin. How did you get shark fin out of...
You know, it's funny that you say that actually, because
Cat
when I got
claws.
home last night, that's exactly what Dan said to me.
Wait, you've tried
She-
this out before? And you tried it again?
Oh, no, it's just, I don't plan this. Dan said last night as I got home and he's like, I never know what you're going to say when you get home. I said, that's funny. I like that.
Can we just be real clear on what she actually said? And she said, you know, the sharks with fins.
The sharks with fins. Right, because those torpedo sharks.
They're pretty
This is why I got confused. I was like, the sharks with fins? As
I'm like, I'm
opposed...
fired up because the sharks with fins, they're dying. Okay? Leonardo,
Yeah.
what's his name?
DiCaprio?
told me
Yeah.
He's hot.
that sharks are dying,
They are.
and that gets me fired up.
Gets me so fired up.
Well, I appreciate, Jagels, your visit.
Yeah, thanks for
I mean,
having
it
me.
started off a little blue.
Blue?
We turn it around.
I think it was fine.
All pelvic thrusts.
Oh, geez. Cheese and rice,
We're a
Jess.
family show.
Okay.
We're a
I'll
family.
Not
remember
really.
that next
We're like a PG-13 family show.
That's a good, yeah, I like that.
I mean, that was PG-13.
Technically, yeah.
And we are recording this in advance of the Pacific Northwest admin retreat.
Mm-hmm.
It's a busy week. Margaret's going to make a bunch of people uncomfortable, and then she's going to come back, and we're going to talk about it, and we're going to talk to Enmei again.
Yeah.
We have a few great guests lined up.
Yeah.
On par with the guests that we've had recently, which I think is saying a lot. Right?
We've had some epic
We've
guests.
had some good guests.
We have.
And we have more coming. So we're excited to bring it to you.
I'm going to get Jason Statham. Will that be okay?
You're going to get him
I'm going to get him
in
on
the podcast?
Yeah.
Yes, you can bring Jason Statham.
That's my next target. My next target.
My next target. My next target. I got a couple targets too.
What are your targets?
I don't know if I should reveal them yet.
Why not?
Because you don't know what they're called.
Well, no, I do. Hello. One of them.
I don't know
is,
how to use words.
One. I'll share one. Okay. The author of Contagious Culture,
Oh, yeah.
Ananise Kavanaugh. I believe that's her name. She's in. Just have to figure out a date.
What about rhymes with Shanique Feldstrom?
Wow, that's a really.
Look for
That's really-
Shanique Feldstrom. Sounds like Shanique Feldstrom coming soon also.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see if people can guess who that is
Shanique.
based off of that.
There's an apostrophe in there.
There is,
All right.
for sure.
Good luck at the retreat.
Thank you. We'll need
Break
it.
a leg.
We'll
I'll
probably
be
break
making a brief
couple.
appearance.
I'll break a table for sure.
That was what she did the first year.
Oh, am I showing up as your interpreter this time?
You probably should.
We should have a session where you just say things and then
That'd
I
be
offer an
hilarious,
interpretation.
actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
People actually do have
Yeah, for
questions
sure.
for you.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. This actually might be a good time for
do
admin to
pop
actually
by.
ask you some questions. Yeah.
All right. Until next time.